Hi, I'm Karri Huhtanen from Radiator Software, and I'm talking about Wi-Fi roaming security and privacy. And when I say Wi-Fi roaming security, I mean exactly that. So this is about how you are doing some kind of radius roaming, you are doing open roaming, you are doing edu-roam. So all these issues might be kind of already known from the other enterprise networks, but there is a twist in these that is kind of related to the Wi-Fi roaming. So first, this is probably familiar to everybody, the improved evil twin attack. I won't go into details about it, but the idea here, how this is kind of connected to roaming, is that when we have a roaming federation, such as edu-roam or open roaming, the range of the attack you can kind of perform there. Well, actually, in this case, here in evil twin situation, you can kind of broadcast, of course, the same kind of SSID there, but you can also utilize something like passpoint functionality and attributes to kind of lure the victim to your evil twin AP. So basically, you have this kind of more ways to utilize for those profiles that may have been installed in the victim's phone or device, and they may even not know them because they are something like operator carrier profiles that are not shown to the user. So in this kind of case, you have this kind of improved evil twin attack you can utilize to gather information or, in worst cases, credentials from the user. So the mitigation, of course, for this is that you have a proper Wi-Fi configuration profiles using private CA science radius certificate combined with those, or then utilizing something where you cannot kind of reveal your credentials like client certificate authentication or EAP-PVD. And of course, you can use your network to kind of protect against these evil twin APs, but sometimes that doesn't even work there. And kind of a policy thing using separate network credentials there. Then about this attack that where the roaming federation actually gives more range where to kind of perform the attack is that when you used to have to go close to the organization you are attacking, for example, trying to guess passwords, you are trying to make a denial of service, lock everybody out of the network, that kind of thing. You used to have to go to the enterprise network where the Wi-Fi coverage is. But now if you have an organization that is kind of connected to this kind of some roaming federation, then you have the possibility that, hey, let's just use the closest roaming federation member there and perform the same attack there. So if, for example, the victim organization has connected something like their Active Directory and utilize those usernames, passwords for authentication, they use the same domain for Windows domain and for email domain, you could just kind of start getting something like a spam list and kind of passing those user accounts one by one with wrong passwords, and if they haven't configured their Active Directory to not lock their users out, then you could create this kind of denial of service attack through the roaming hierarchy there and not even be close to that organization. So the mitigation for this is, of course, rate limiting. But this is rarely actually done because it's hard to kind of do this kind of a rate limiting. It's complicated to make them. Not all radius servers support it, and the federation top-level servers in the between, they don't really like to do any kind of traffic shaping of the radius authentication traffic because it creates more load, more complexity, and there are other problems they need to kind of figure out already. All right. Then this one, a bit more theoretical, but has been tested, is one kind of attack vector as well that you could consider when you are doing something like roaming networks, is that when we do radius authentication, you get a lot of information from the user there in the authentication request. You get the outer identity in the request. In some cases you can, and of course the IDP organization gets something like the inner identity, inner password there. And now the idea here is to kind of add into those fields that are there processed by log analysis systems, something evil in them, something like a log4j. And this was kind of tested in eduroam. There was kind of test when log4j vulnerability was kind of published. They did some testing there. They got some kind of pings from log processing systems within the whole chain there, but not this kind of a really good in a way that this kind of positive result of an attack being kind of a very effective there. So no successful cases for this attack. And radius attribute also limits that how much code, how much information you can put there. But you can put, in addition to something like log4j, you can use something like terminal ANSI codes to kind of confuse the log processing system and all that kind of nasty things to kind of make it harder to kind of monitor networks there. Then there is, of course, sanitizing this, but in sometimes you have to kind of think that what will be in the username, what will be in the realm there when it is going over the network. Then there is VLAN hopping and discovery attack. So if we have an evil organization, part of our roaming federation, then that organization could respond to the radius requests from VLAN attributes, and especially vendor-specific VLAN attributes. And if nobody there in between filters those attributes, then those attributes will go into the VLC or controller or AP there that might just kind of follow them and just put the user into particular virtual LAN. And because we don't know all of the vendor attributes that can be used, it should be this organization who filters those out, that we don't really want to get these from the roaming federation because we are using particular vendor devices, and they would need to filter to be sure all these kind of instructions there from their network. So stripping attributes, and of course taking care of organization who can join the roaming federation are mitigations for this. This one is the most theoretical one. As you know, if you have a EAP supplicant, then nothing limits the communication it can done over the network there to the IDP. And that means that you could build a kind of a VPN over EAP connection there. But this is theoretical, so I won't go into details there. Then these things are still hard. When you are doing radius over TLS, PK certificates are still hard. Client implementation are bad, and they are gradually being tested more, for example, in Wi-Fi Alliance and so, but then that's a different issue there. About roaming privacy, I just go into this slide. And this is about that information that you can get from the accounting messages that are going by default in plain text there in the network. So you can get something like device information profiles, MAC addresses, and you can use this to kind of gather more information from the user that they probably would want to kind of reveal there. And when that information goes over your network border, it kind of is available to other roaming federation partners as well. But yeah, that was kind of a very quick run through about this. If you want, you can come to talk to me in more detail about these things. And I left there also this kind of a bit longer, older presentation and these slides.